Good morning, and thank you for the time for this confidential briefing. Treadstone 71 talked today about the Adversary Index, the first evidence-graded rating standard for adversaries, state and non-state, cyber and cognitive, on a 10 to 100 scale. Credit markets built rating agencies. Vulnerability management built CVSS. Adversaries, the actors driving the entire security spend, carry no rating standard at all. Treadstone 71 published on July 15th. The briefing covers Pillar 1 of the T71 standard in depth, then the roadmap for Pillars 2 through 6. Note, see the glossary for definitions. A short word on the firm. Treadstone 71 has practiced cyber and cognitive intelligence tradecraft since 2002. Training built to community standards, including ICD 203 analytic tradecraft, alongside advisory and targeted research across cyber intelligence, counterintelligence, and influence operations. The client base spans government, defense, finance, and national infrastructure across the United States, Europe, and the Gulf. Leadership: Jeff Barden, founder and chief intelligence officer, a former US Air Force Arabic linguist, Army Scout officer, and a career intelligence professional. The change that matters for coverage arrives in 2026. The firm moves from services alone to a published, auditable standard, and Pillar 1 shipped on July 15th. Our original target date was August 15th, as you see in the deck. We surpassed that with a July 15th release. 3 drivers sit behind the timing, and each one already runs through analyst inquiry flow. First, AI collapsed the cost of influence. Generative tooling turned narrative production from a bureau into a script, and adversary AI adoption became a measurable capability. The index measures it, per actor, per quarter. Second, cyber and cognitive fused. Hack and leak, clone site forgery, and provocation baiting run as single campaigns. Point products score the halves, and no one scores the whole actor. Third, the question moved up the stack. Boards, regulators, and insurers now ask which adversary matters and why. And professional intuition no longer survives that room. A documented score does. The demand side arrived before the product. In addition to the score, we provide organizational races, recommendations for change, and relative cost models. This can be customized. Wherever a market needed to compare hard things, a rating standard emerged, and the standard setter became infrastructure. Credit built Moody's. Vulnerabilities built CVSS. Adversary capability remains the last unrated object in security. Adjacent categories each hold a piece of the problem. Technical threat intelligence scores the campaign. Malware, infrastructure, intrusion sets, while the adversary behind the campaign stays unranked. Security ratings grade the defender's exposure. Attacker capability sits outside the model. Influence operations research names campaigns and takedowns, yet few reports rank the actors on one scale, and fewer still grade their own evidence. The adversary index takes the empty seat, the rating standard for the attacker side of the ledger. 6 pillars carry one method. The adversary index ranks every adversary on one auditable scale, refreshed quarterly. The briefing focus, the July 15th TAI release. The cognitive warfare tradecraft reference documents cognitive maneuvers in a shared named reference, in production, publishing October 15th. Behind them, a public attribution series, an open intelligence quality standard, the method delivered as software on an agentic stack, and a board-level retainer. The pillars reinforce each other. The index supplies the scores, the reference explains the behavior behind them, and the later pillars carry the method from the analyst desk to the boardroom. Today, Pillar 1 in depth, Pillar 2 in brief, the rest as roadmap. The product shape in one row, 42 named actors, 7 component annexes, 10 operational clusters, 8 sub-indices per actor, 4 subscription tiers, and a 90-day refresh clock. A nation-state, a state proxy, a jihadist network, a Russian cyber private contractor, a cartel, a ransomware ecosystem, and a hacktivist crew compare on the same scale, because the method scores capability substance rather than actor category. The Q2 2026 catalogue spans 73 points of operational range, from the most capable sovereign cyberpower down to the remnants of a collapsed state. The claim to hold on to, every score traces down through sub-indices, indicators, and cultural terrain to the evidence underneath. So a skeptical reader audits the number rather than trusts it. 4 findings from the Q2 build show the machine at work. 1. The AI gap splits the top tier. AI tradecraft adoption is the widest discriminator in the model. China scores 88. North Korea, a top-tier power on every other line, scores 48, held there by a direct evidence anchor. No actor scores on hype. 2. Concentration beats breadth. North Korea trails Iran on flat indicator averages, yet outranks it on composite 79 to 76 because the weighting reads threat concentration. And the methodology paper documents the behavior in full. 3. The catalogue moves every quarter. Q2 evidence lifted the Houthi movement 6 points to 63, the head of the non-state band, and dropped Hamas 6 points to 54, out of Tier 1. Every move past tolerance ships under a signed written justification. 4. Patron tooling earns nothing. Proxies score on demonstrated independent capability. Access to a sponsor's arsenal counts only where independent operational use stands documented. The rule that separated real operators from clients across the grey zone. The scoring chain runs in 5 steps. Evidence first. 3 independent, bias-balanced sources gate every indicator, and every source carries a grade under the evidence standard. Indicators next. 163 universal indicators score 0 to 6 across the stemples plus domains. Social, technical, economic, military, political, legal, educational and security, plus religion, demographics and psychology, with per-actor extensions on top. Indicator averages roll into 19 domain and cultural terrain readings. Fixed weights turn the readings into 8 measures, each running 0 to 100. The composite is the rounded, equal weight mean of the 8. No composite is typed in. The number emerges upward from the arithmetic. Analysts never adjust an input to reach a target, and formula-driven workbooks keep every roll-up reproducible. Every actor opens the same 8 dimensions. Cognitive warfare velocity, the pace and reach of influence operations. OPSEC. Sophistication, the adaptation and evolution index. Adaptation pace under pressure. Narrative volume, sectoral targeting concentration, AI tradecraft adoption, doctrinal maturity. Operational tempo. 2 actors reaching the same composite through different strengths sit side by side, and the sub-index profile shows why. ATA deserves the pause. A direct evidence anchor makes it the first quarterly, per-actor measurement of adversary AI adoption in a published product. A data series an AI-focused research agenda uses on its own. Default weighting treats the 8 equally. Executive desk buyers set mission weights instead. A bank defender lifts tempo and targeting. An influence operations desk lifts velocity and volume. Evidence discipline is the spine of the product. The ASA evidence standard grows the NATO Admiralty Code into 30 factors across 9 evidence clusters, scored 3 ways: source reliability, information credibility, and a counter-deception check. Because adversaries in the cognitive space lie about their own reach as a matter of doctrine. The classic code stays inside as lineage, so a B2 still reads the familiar way. Usually reliable, probably true. Every score carries a Sherman-Kent confidence label, and the composite inherits the lowest subindex label, the conservative rule. Verified facts carry grades in line. An adversary's claims about itself stay separated and grade no higher than fairly reliable. And every profile closes with a named falsifier, the specific observation that forces a revision, which turns the catalogue into a set of testable judgments rather than fixed labels. The 4 sovereign anchors: China at 89, Tier 0, the peer cyber and cognitive power setting the upper reference for the scale. Russia at 85, Tier 0, intrusion and narrative fused in a single reach. North Korea at 79, the top of Tier 1. A state funded through cyber theft, high tempo on a thin economic base. Iran at 76, Tier 1. A proxy network plus cyber and influence reach, held down by sanctions. The ordering deserves a pause. The model separates China and Russia from North Korea and Iran on doctrine, AI integration, and strategic capacity, not on headline volume. A ranking built on incident counts produces a different and less defensible order. The anchors calibrate the whole register. Every non-state actor below scores through the same 8 sub-indices. The full catalogue distributes across 4 tiers: 2 sovereigns in Tier 0, 9 actors in Tier 1 counting North Korea and Iran, 27 in Tier 2, and 4 in Tier 3, where degradation pathway tracking takes over. Tier 2 holds the bulk of the catalogue. Grey zone states, jihadist franchises, the Albo bloc, a cartel, ransomware ecosystems, and hacktivist networks, each scored through the same engine. 7 non-state actors hold Tier 1, led by the Houthi movement at 63, and a discipline note that matters for what follows. Any composite within 5 points of a tier boundary passed a senior review gate before entering the catalogue. The obvious challenge to any scored index: what stops the numbers from drifting into marketing? 4 controls. First, boundary zone review. Any composite inside 75 to 85, 50 to 60, or 30 to 40 goes to a senior analyst before release. Second, tolerance and change control. A rebuilt score moving more than 5 points from the catalogue requires a signed written justification logged under change control. Third, independent review. An external threat intelligence reviewer audited the methodology in June 2026 under NDA, and the findings drove a reproduction package plus a third source triangulation log. The reproduction package means a reviewer rebuilds a composite from the logs without our help. Fourth, peer reconciliation. Lead and reviewer score independently, and sub-index gaps past 10 points require written justification before the two reconcile. Publication holds until sign-off closes on every out-of-tolerance justification. The commercial model maps coverage depth to buyer role, and each tier contains the tiers below it. Tier 0 is free and public. The Big 4 composites, the full methodology and tier framework, and the evidence standard white paper, the calibration anchor for the scale, in the open. The analyst tier, at $25,000 a year, carries 11 actors at full sub-index depth with the scoring codebook and rubric. The institutional tier, at $75,000, carries 38 actors with indicator detail and a named falsifier per profile. The executive desk, at $250, carries the full catalogue with the annexes, degradation pathways, mission weighting, and a named analyst on call. The free tier is deliberate. Publishing the anchors and the whole method invites the scrutiny the product is built to survive. The release clock, briefly. The May 25th soft launch put the methodology in public while composites stayed held for the inaugural. A deliberate 2-cycle strategy. July 15th shipped the full 42-actor inaugural. October 15th opens the tradecraft reference. From there, the 2 products alternate. The index refreshes on the 15th of August, November, February, and May. The reference on October, January, April, and July. A Treadstone 71 release lands about every 6 weeks. On-schedule confidence, in Kent terms. On-time delivery of the full inaugural rates as likely, 55 to 70%, with the residual risk sitting in the final validation gate rather than in scoring production, which stands complete at sub-index depth across the catalogue. Pillar 2 in brief. Intrusion tradecraft earned a shared language a decade ago. Cognitive maneuvers still trade in ad hoc names. The tradecraft reference fixes that. 9 families holding 54 named maneuvers and 20 to 30 techniques, each with a stable identifier. Narrative engineering, amplification, personas and fronts, forgery, reflexive control, seam exploitation, cyber-cognitive coupling, terrain preparation, and suppression. Every entry runs a 15-field schema. Definition, doctrinal lineage, ranked indicators, graded exemplar cases, actor instantiations, detection signatures, countermeasures, and a falsifier, and no entry publishes without 2 evidence-graded exemplar cases. Every entry carries a disarm crosswalk, mapped, never cloned, which keeps the framework communities as partners. The schema locked in July. Russia prototype entries are in build. The inaugural edition publishes October 15th. The remaining pillars as roadmap. The public attribution series publishes evidence-graded attributions in the open, separated from adversary claims. The method demonstrated where academia and the press watch. The open quality standard defines the evidence bar for the discipline and certifies against it. An audit bar for vendors and government units alike. The operating system delivers the method as software on an agentic stack, running scoring and tracking continuously. Machine-readable interoperability. Sticks 2.1, taxi, disarm. Sits on that backlog, and for an emerging technology lens, the platform story lives there. The board retainer carries senior cognitive warfare judgment into the rooms where decisions get made. The sequencing is deliberate. Pillars 1 and 2 fund and prove the method. Pillars 3 through 6 widen the buyer base from analysts to the board. Positioning, with the honest sells stated first. Security ratings refresh continuously. Full marks on cadence. Attack and disarm. Publish open methodologies. Full marks there. Technical threat intelligence vendors carry partial strength on adversary focus and cognitive depth. 2 rows stay empty across every adjacent category. Cross-category actors on 1 comparable scale, and graded evidence with a named falsifier per profile. That pair defines the seat the index takes. And the frameworks read as complements rather than competitors. The tradecraft reference carries a disarm crosswalk in every entry, so the shared language communities gain a partner, not a rival. The closing, in 1 line, nobody rates the adversary. We do. We provide organizational races, relative costs, and recommendations for adjustments. The method shows its work. Every composite traces to graded evidence a skeptical reader audits rather than trusts. Jeff Barden, founder and chief intelligence officer, can be reached at jbarden@treadstone71.com. Thank you for the time. We look forward to the follow-up.